Chapter 1. While everyone else was out enjoying their May Day holiday, I was stuck at my desk, working overtime to help out with my boyfriend's company. By the time I finally crawled into bed, it was already past 1 a.m. I was completely wiped but of course too tired to actually sleep. So I did what anyone would. I grabbed my phone and started mindlessly scrolling through videos, hoping to unwind a little after such a long day. Grilltown's barbecue scene was everywhere. In every other clip, someone was bragging about their trip to Grilltown for the famous barbecue. I couldn't help but watch, practically drooling over the screen, wishing I could be there too instead of stuck working. And that's when I saw it. In one of the most watched videos, there he was, Oliver Ford. My boyfriend had told me he was out of town on a business trip. Except he wasn't alone. There he was, casually holding hands with some woman in oversized sunglasses and long wavy hair, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. And they were eating barbecue together. Oliver was being so sweet and thoughtful with her too, taking a napkin and carefully wiping off the tip of the skewer before handing it to her, like a perfect gentleman. Meanwhile with me, he can't even be bothered to pour me a glass of water, let alone wipe down a skewer. If I knock something over, he'll just sit there and watch like it's beneath him to help. I couldn't believe it. He was cheating. I was furious. I grabbed my phone and immediately called him. It rang and rang. Nothing. I called again. Still no answer. Then just to really top things off, the jerk turned his phone off. The next morning at 10 a.m. he finally had the nerve to call me back. And guess what? His tone was annoyed. Charlotte, what the hell? I'm on a business trip. I'm exhausted. Why were you calling me in the middle of the night? Can't you think for once? Oh, the nerve of this guy. Business trip? Was I interrupting his romantic barbecue date last night? I knew better than to confront him over the phone. Guys like Oliver don't confess unless they're caught in the act. Otherwise, they just deny everything. So I played it cool. I mumbled a few vague excuses, hung up, and booked myself the next high-speed train to Grilltown. By that evening, I was there, determined to find him. After hours of searching, I finally spotted them at the most popular spot in the city, the 8 Markets night bazaar where all the influencers go. And there they were, wearing matching couple outfits. I felt sick to my stomach. But now, without the sunglasses, I could see exactly who she was. It was Ruby Carter, Oliver's first love from college. Back then, Oliver had been nothing but a broke, lovesick guy, following Ruby around like she hung the moon. But she never really cared about him. To her, he was just a free lunch and someone to carry her bags. After graduation, Ruby dumped him and married some construction worker, leaving town without a second thought. And now, out of nowhere, she was back all over Oliver now that he had some money and a decent career. I guess she couldn't resist the chance to pick the fruit she'd abandoned years ago. Under the guise of reconnecting and reliving old times, they were sneaking around behind my back. What a joke. The two of them, pathetic. So this is what you call work, Oliver? I marched right up to the two of them, throwing a sharp, sarcastic smile their way. Ruby, clearly aware of her role as the other woman, immediately fumbled to pull her sunglasses from her bag, slipping them on like they'd somehow shield her from the truth. She avoided eye contact like a guilty child caught in the act. Oliver, on the other hand, didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. Caught red-handed, and instead of apologizing, he had the nerve to turn it back on me. Charlotte, what the hell? Are you following me? This is a violation of my privacy. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through it like he was about to uncover some grand conspiracy. Did you put a tracking app on my phone? Because I'm telling you right now, that's illegal. I let out a dry, bitter laugh. Me? Track you? Don't flatter yourself, Oliver. I've got better things to do. Your little escapade went viral. Everyone's seen the video. You've become a walking joke and you're worried about me invading your privacy? At that, Ruby started to panic. She rushed over to me, her voice trembling, putting on her best damsel in distress act. You must be Charlotte, right? Please don't blame Oliver. This is all my fault. I'm the one who couldn't control my feelings. It's me who crossed the line. If you're angry, take it out on me. I'm the one to blame. But love isn't a crime, is it? By the time she finished, her voice was cracking and tears were welling up in her eyes, like she was the tragic heroine in some poorly written romance novel. And there it was, textbook manipulative drama queen. Ruby had always been good at playing the victim. Oliver, being the predictable idiot he is, immediately wrapped his arm around her. comforting her like she was the one who'd been wronged. "Ruby, don't say that," he murmured, his voice soft as silk. "None of this is your fault. I've never forgotten you. You've always been the one for me. My youth was full of regret because of you. And now that you're back, it feels like fate. I'm just so glad you came to me when you needed someone. Let me take care of you now. Let me make up for all the time we lost." I could barely keep from rolling my eyes. Was this a joke? Were they seriously trying to act like the star-crossed lovers in some cheesy soap opera? And I was supposed to be the villain in their little fantasy? "Oliver," Ruby sobbed, burying her face in his chest, her tears flowing like she was auditioning for an Oscar. "I knew it. No matter how far I went or how long we were apart, I was always that same girl in your heart. I never really left you." She kept crying, dramatic sobs that quickly gathered the attention of a few curious onlookers. Oliver, ever the gallant hero, gently patted her back, and then turned to me with a look of self-righteousness as if he were delivering some profound truth. "Charlotte, you see it now, don't you?" he said, his tone dripping with condescension. "Ruby is my true love. You were just a stand-in. If she hadn't come back, I would have stayed with you, out of pity because you loved me so much. I was willing to graciously give you my love. But now that she's back, there's no room for you anymore. Don't hate me, Charlotte. Hate the law. If it weren't for monogamy, maybe you could have stayed. But with Ruby here, your time is up." I stared at him, my blood boiling, but I kept my face calm, my voice steady. "Fine, Oliver. Just don't come crying to me later. Every tear you shed is going to be because of the stupidity you're spewing right now." I paused and then smirked. "You'll figure it out eventually. You're giving up a diamond for a pile of dirt. You'll realize soon enough that the treasure you think you found isn't worth a damn." Chapter 3. This wasn't just a bunch of angry words thrown in the heat of the moment. No, I was already plotting my revenge. See, I'm not the kind of woman who just lets things slide. When I love all in. But when I hate, oh, I make it count. I've always believed it's better to live independently than to devote oneself to an undeserving partner. At least those who fight for themselves know how to take control of their own lives. So, first things first, I started digging into Ruby's past. And what I found? Priceless. Turns out, after she married that construction foreman who was a good decade older than her, she thought she'd hit the jackpot. She saw herself living a life of luxury, sipping cocktails as some rich man's pampered wife, skipping through life without a care. But reality had other plans. The guy. All flash, no substance. His big house. Rented. His fancy car. Fourth hand. And his finances? A mess. He wasn't just broke, he was in debt, owing money to half the construction workers in town. Why? Because he had a nasty gambling habit. And once someone's hooked on gambling, no amount of money is going to save them. So instead of living the high life, Ruby found herself in a nightmare, dealing with a husband who gambled away everything and took out his frustrations on her with his fists. Do I feel sorry for her? Not a chance. She chose that life. Let's not forget that she wasn't an innocent bride. She was the other woman. She wrecked his first marriage, pushed his wife out of the picture, and thought she was walking into a dream. Instead, she walked straight into a nightmare. It didn't take long for that marriage to fall apart. Ruby divorced him soon after, and for the past few years she's been drifting. No job, no real direction, just bouncing between different men, living off anyone who'll take her in. Call it what you want, but let's be real. She's nothing more than a glorified freeloader. Back then, Ruby wouldn't have even looked twice at Oliver. He was just some broke guy pining after her, and she didn't give him the time of day. But now that Oliver's business is taking off and he's getting some media attention as this up-and-coming entrepreneur, suddenly Ruby's interested. She's back on the scene, playing the sweet, innocent act, trying to rekindle whatever they had. And Oliver, the poor fool that he is, actually believes it. He thinks she's come back because she still has feelings for him. Pathetic. What he didn't realize was that every so-called goddess he put on a pedestal had been involved with more men than he knew. I could easily take all the dirt I've dug up on Ruby and show it to Oliver. I could make him see the truth. But why would I? I'm not about to give him a way out. If he's stupid enough to cheat, and then I'm going to make sure he pays for it. You know what they say, give a man a little money and his true colors come out. Oliver's no exception. Before Ruby dumped him and before his business took off, he was a decent guy. He worked hard, kept his head down, and treated me well. He was thoughtful and attentive, everything you'd want in a partner. I honestly thought getting his heart broken had been a wake-up call for him. I thought he'd learned something, that he'd grown from it. But the moment his company started making real money, everything changed. His ego inflated right along with his bank account, and suddenly he forgot the past. He forgot how Ruby had used him and tossed him aside. Now he's convinced that having her come crawling back is some kind of personal victory. In his mind, her return is proof that he's finally made it. But here's the thing, Oliver's so-called success? Most of it's because of me. What he doesn't know is that I'm not just some ordinary girlfriend. I'm the daughter of the wealthiest man in Seabreeze City. I've kept that part of my life quiet because my father raised me to stay grounded. He always told me, if you want to inherit the family business, you need to understand the world first. You need to know how people really are. Only then can you handle the responsibility. It's also for my own safety. At one point, I even thought about introducing Oliver to my family. But my father, he's got high standards. He told me straight up, no one without at least $1 billion to their name is worthy of knocking on our door. So, for years I've been quietly pulling strings behind the scenes, using my connections to help Oliver build his business. I wanted him to hit that $1 billion goal my father set so he could finally measure up. But now I'm done. Oliver's about to learn a hard lesson. The same hands that lifted him up can just as easily tear him down. The higher he climbs, the harder he'll fall. And believe me, I'm going to make sure he falls hard. Chapter 4. On the first workday after the holiday, Kai brought Xiao to the office. Seeing me still at my desk, Kai immediately lost his temper. Qing, why are you still here? Don't you have any self-respect? We broke up, I dumped you. Leave now. Kai's face was full of irritation. He pulled out his wallet, fished out a few $100 bills and disdainfully threw them at me. This is your breakup fee, don't bother me anymore. I don't want Xiao to misunderstand. I knew Kai was being so ostentatious to show off in front of his true love. Mr. Kai, it's not that I don't want to leave, but without me, I'm afraid the deal with Blue International might fall through. I spoke calmly. Haha. Without you it would fall through. Kai laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. After he laughed, he pointed a finger at my nose. Qing, you're just my secretary. What gives you the right to be so self-important? The partnership with Blue International was secured because they saw potential in our company and thought I was a promising young entrepreneur. What does it have to do with you? From now on, Xiao will take over your job as my personal assistant. People say she has a face that brings good fortune. With her help, my business will surely prosper. As he was boasting, his phone rang. It was a call from Blue International. To show off, Kai put the call on speaker. Mr. Lee, we can sign the contract this afternoon, right? I'll come over then. What time works for you? On the other end, the director of Blue International Trade, Mr. Lee, spoke coldly. Mr. Kai, sorry, but the deal is off. Off? Why? Kai's voice was almost a shriek. Because our cooperation was based on Miss Qing's recommendation, but you disrespected her, so? Mr. Lee hung up, leaving Kai in shock. Chapter 5. Seeing Kai's face turn green like a cucumber was immensely satisfying. The next part was predictable. Kai would realize I must be someone important. Then he'd beg for forgiveness, groveling at my feet. Of course, I wouldn't forgive him, but watching his regret would be enjoyable. But I overestimated Kai's intelligence. He stood there dumbfounded for a moment, then roared at me. Qing, I can't believe you're such a lowly woman. Did you sleep with that director to get him to cancel the deal? Disgusting. He actually thought I had seduced Mr. Lee into canceling the deal. How absurd. The richest family in Haicheng is the Lin family, who work in finance. The chairman of Lin Corporation is my father. Why is my last name Qing if my father's last name is Lin? Because I took my mother's surname. The second richest family in Haicheng is the Blue family, who work in international trade. The Blue family and the Lin family are lifelong friends. So the cooperation before and the cancellation now were all because of me, the Lin family heiress. But I naturally wouldn't explain this to a fool. Xiao, whose private life is notoriously messy, now started acting virtuous. She looked at me with disdain. Women should have self-respect. What you did is a disgrace to all women. After mocking me, Xiao grabbed Kai's hand. Kai, don't be angry. You're so outstanding. I'm sure the higher-ups at Blue International will be happy to work with you. It's just a few small people causing trouble now. I can accompany you to meet Chairman Blue and report that director's misconduct. We'll get him fired and restore our cooperation." Kai's eyes lit up. "Yes. Great idea. But can we meet Chairman Blue?" Xiao smiled confidently. "It shouldn't be a problem. I remember during our university's 50th anniversary, I was in the student council, responsible for serving distinguished alumni. Chairman Blue, an alumnus, donated a new library during that event. He remembers me well." Kai laughed heartily, hugging Xiao and planting a kiss on her cheek. "Sweetheart, you're my lucky charm." Then he turned to me with a sinister look. "You should leave. Once I expose that director, you'll be ruined. You worthless woman." Chapter 6. That evening I was drinking alone in a bar. The more I drank, the more bitter it tasted. Getting drunk seems to be a necessary phase of a breakup, I guess. Of course I was feeling down. Not because I couldn't let go of Kai. A cheating man is like spilled water. I was mourning my youth. 3 years with Kai, wholeheartedly giving, only to end up feeding a dog. Even if I could make Kai regret it, I could never get back the lost time. Is it true, as they say online, that every woman has to go through a few heartbreaks to grow up? I'm not bad looking and now single, so there were always guys trying to chat me up in the bar. Some played the deep intellectual, some the romantic artist, and some flaunted their wealth. One guy even showed off a fake Porsche key he bought online for $20. Nowadays, who even carries such bulky keys with keyless entry? I ignored all the advances, until a tall, handsome guy approached me. "Do you remember me? Seriously, you're so handsome, but your pickup lines are so outdated." I sneered at his approach. "Stop drinking." He reached out to prevent me from lifting my glass. "Mind your own business." I shielded my glass. "If you're hitting on me, at least don't act like a dad." I was already tipsy and laughed mischievously at his handsome face. "Are you a gigolo?" The guy's face turned red and he turned to leave. I laughed harder and called after him, "Don't run. There's no shame in earning money with your looks." By 10:30 I left the bar. I have principles, and no matter how upset, I won't have a one-night stand to let off steam. Why punish myself for someone else's mistake? Outside, the cool breeze made me even dizzier. I was unsteady on my feet. Just as I was about to call a ride, 2 sleazy-looking men blocked my way. "Hey gorgeous, let's keep the party going." "Yeah, we'll show you a good time." They started pulling at me. I realized I was dealing with bar predators. These scums prey on drunk girls, tricking or forcing them into nearby hotels, sometimes even recording the acts to post online for profit. Some girls, unable to bear the shame, even take drastic measures. But because the victims are often too intoxicated to remember details and fear being publicly shamed, they rarely report the crimes. These predators grow bolder. Now I was their target. "Get lost. Don't touch me." They were dragging me towards a nearby van, even snatching my phone. "Help. Hell." My cries were muffled as they covered my mouth. Desperation set in. Was I about to lose more than just my love? Just then, a cool voice cut through the night. "Let her go." It was the handsome guy from the bar. The 2 thugs tried to claim I was their friend, telling him to mind his own business. But he wasn't buying it. With a few swift punches, he had one thug missing a tooth and the other with a broken nose. He pulled me into his arms. "Ching, pull yourself together. He's not worth it." He knew my name and about my breakup, meaning he was someone I knew. "Who are you?" I tried to ask, but halfway through, I vomited all over him. After that, I blacked out. When I woke up, I was lying on a soft bed. I peeked under the covers. My clothes had been changed. Did that mean, "You're awake"? The door opened and the handsome guy from the bar walked in. "You beast. How could you take advantage of me?" I furiously threw a pillow at him. He dodged, and the pillow hit a middle-aged woman behind him. "Mrs. Blue." I was dumbfounded. It was the matriarch of the Blue family. "Child, why did you drink so much last night? If it hadn't been for our young master, you'd have been in real trouble." She scolded me like a concerned mother. "Young master?" I looked at the handsome guy like he was a ghost. "You're Blue? Weren't you studying in the US? Did you go to Korea for plastic surgery?" His face turned red. Chapter 7. Blue was the childhood nickname I gave to Blue Yen, the Blue family's eldest son. We were classmates from kindergarten to elementary school. Since he was younger than me, he always called me sister. But I found him annoying, always crying and with a runny nose, so I often teased him. He went abroad for school during middle school. It had been 10 years since we'd last seen each other. Who knew the crybaby would grow into a stoic, handsome man? Who says only girls go through significant transformations? Mrs. Blue explained that Yen had just returned and was now the CEO of Blue International. So Mrs. Blue, you changed my clothes last night? Not Yen. Of course. That boy blushes just from holding a girl's hand. How could he change your clothes? Mrs. Blue's face was full of disdain for her son. Then she started giving me advice. She knew about my breakup with Kai. Ching, breaking up with Kai is a blessing. A short-sighted man like him doesn't deserve you. You should consider our Yen. Mrs. Blue leaned in conspiratorially. He's liked you since childhood. Even while studying abroad, he always asked about you. He returned early because he heard about your breakup. Isn't that sweet? Her words made me blush. I had a hunch about Yan's feelings in high school. He wrote me several letters, but I never replied. Back then, influenced by romance novels, I believed love wasn't pure unless it was between people from different worlds. A rich girl like me shouldn't be with a rich guy. Love had to be with a poor boy to be genuine. So I chose Kai only to have reality slap me in the face. Poverty doesn't equate to virtue. Even a poor man can be a scoundrel. Chapter 8. After breakfast at the Blue residence, I went to Blue International with Yen to help set up his new office. Though the reason was flimsy, I agreed. They say the best cure for a broken heart is a new love. I decided to give it a shot, especially since Yen was now so handsome. No loss for me. Since I was at Blue International, it was natural to visit Chairman Blue. Yen and I had just sat down in the chairman's office when the secretary announced visitors. It was Kai and Xiao, here to report internal corruption. Of course, I wanted to watch the drama unfold. So I hid with Yen in the inner room of the chairman's office. The inner room was separated by one-way glass. We could see Kai and Xiao, but they had no clue we were there. Once they arrived, Xiao shamelessly tried to cozy up to the chairman, reminiscing about a university event years ago. Chairman Blue, busy as he was, had long forgotten her. But given my recent relationship troubles, he remembered Xiao well. Listening to their double act, accusing Mr. Li of misconduct, the chairman feigned outrage. He promised strict action. In front of them, he summoned Mr. Li, scolded him, and promptly fired him. Of course, Mr. Li's firing was just a demotion, not a real dismissal. Chairman Blue, a seasoned businessman, put on an Oscar-worthy performance. He praised Kai as a promising young entrepreneur and assured him of Blue International's support. The previous contract would remain in effect, and to show their sincerity, he increased the contract value from 30 million to 200 million. Kai was overjoyed. He was utterly fooled by the old fox. Chairman Blue then brought Yen out, stating that future cooperation would be overseen by him. Yen exchanged WeChat contacts with Kai. As Kai's new assistant, Xiao also got Yen's contact. I noticed Xiao's eyes light up with interest when she looked at Yen. This woman was on the prowl. Chapter 9. That night, Kai called me. Haha, Ting. Guess what? The deal you sabotaged with your body is back on. Are you mad? All thanks to Xiao. She's my lucky star. Ching, I love seeing you frustrated but unable to do anything about it. As soon as Kai hung up, Yen received a WeChat message. He glanced at it, blushed, and tossed his phone aside in disgust. Curious, I picked up the phone to find a selfie from Xiao. A post-bath selfie. Her hair was wet, her eyes were seductive, and she was barely dressed. Despite everything, she was indeed a temptress. Delete it, Yen said, grimacing, ready to block her. Wait, let's see what she does next. I stopped him. Sure enough, a minute later, Xiao sent an apology. Sorry, Yen, I sent that by mistake. Classic green tea behavior. Flirting while pretending to be innocent. She was testing Yen to see if he was interested. Fine. I'll give you a chance. Using Yen's phone, I replied in his voice. No need to apologize. It was a nice treat. I'm a bit restless now. Too bad the photo wasn't very clear. Xiao couldn't have guessed it was me chatting with her. She quickly sent a more revealing photo. I saved it with a smile. Xiao, you're beautiful. Yen, you're too kind. Call me Xiao. Then don't call me Yen. Sounds too formal. Call me Yen. Yen. Yen, standing beside me, was mortified as I flirted with Xiao through his phone. When she called him Yen, he couldn't hold it in. Ching. What are you doing? Creating a scandal. I kept typing without looking up, now calling her Xiao. My reputation will be ruined. If people think I'm a playboy who'll marry me, you'll have to take responsibility. Yan was exasperated. Fine, I'll take responsibility. If you stay single, I'll marry you. I was joking, but Yan's face turned red and he stopped trying to get his phone back. How amusing. Such a big guy, more sensitive than a shy maiden. Chapter 10. Kai had no idea he was walking into a trap. He thought he was on the path to success. Even though I had left my job, I still had a few spies in Kai's company. They informed me that Kai was getting more arrogant. He'd replaced his $20,000 Camry with an $80,000 Land Cruiser and bought Xiao a $150,000 Maserati. All on loans, as the company didn't have that much cash. But Kai was spending freely, confident that his business with Blue International would make him rich. He even found a major investor. Kai's expanded business with Blue International increased his costs. His cash flow was tight. As a startup, big banks wouldn't touch him. That's when the financial giant of the city, Lin Financial, stepped in. They generously invested in Kai. Kai's confidence soared. But Lin Financial's money came with strings attached. Kai had to mortgage his company and properties, almost everything he owned. If Kai's business stumbled and he couldn't meet Lin Financial's terms, they'd take everything. And Lin Financial is my family's business. Going up against me? That's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. As the Qixi Festival, Chinese Valentine's Day, approached, Yan's phone was still in my possession. I flirted with Xiao daily, sending her romantic messages and small cash gifts. She was smitten. A few weeks before Qixi, she told me about her menstrual cycle, hinting that she'd be available that night. On Qixi, I sent her a hotel key card via same-day delivery. It was a key to the presidential suite at a 5-star hotel. Time to set the stage. Chapter 11. At 9 p.m. on Qixi, I called Kai. Mr. Kai, are you free tonight? Let's meet. Qing, are you still trying to win me back? I'm committed to my love now. I won't do anything to betray Xiao. Listening to a cheater talk about loyalty was as absurd as a wolf claiming to be vegetarian. Where's Xiao tonight? Spending Qixi with you? I bet she's not. You've been stood up. My business is none of your concern. We're very much in love. Your meddling won't work. Meddling? I just know Xiao is with another man tonight. That's a lie. She's visiting her sick grandmother. Check room 2701 at the Sheraton and see for yourself. Sheraton, room 2701. The room was dark with the curtains drawn. The door was unlocked, easily pushed open. Yan, are you here? Your Xiao is here. There was no reply. Yan. Xiao's voice trembled. Hiding in the shadows, I pinched Yan's waist. He winced and reluctantly spoke the lines I prepared. Undress. Xiao, pretending to be shy, said, Yan, you're so eager. Yan, serving as my pawn, repeated, Undress. Don't turn on the light. Xiao obediently undressed in the dark. Once she was completely naked, she started to flirt. Yan, I'm so cold. I need your warmth. Yan asked, What's your relationship with Kai? Are you a couple? Xiao giggled. Oh, you men and your jealousy. Kai is nothing to me. He's just my admirer. I don't care about him. My heart belongs to you, Yan. Before she could finish, the lights flicked on. Xiao, stark naked, was caught off guard. She struck a provocative pose, thinking only Yan was there. But seeing me smirking and Yan averting his eyes in disgust, she froze. Qing, what are you doing here? Before I could answer, the door was kicked open. Kai, who had been watching the scene from the next room via an infrared camera, stormed in. He was furious. Xiao, how could you betray me? Chapter 12. Xiao was quick-witted. She realized she had been set up. But she was also ruthless. She made a swift decision. Xiao whimpered and threw herself at Yan. Yan, my heart belongs to you. Yan, disgusted, stepped aside. Miss Xiao, please have some decency. And put on some clothes. Xiao, looking hurt, pleaded, Yan, why are you so cold to me? Have you been misled? I truly love you. Didn't you enjoy our chats? Because it wasn't Yan chatting with you. I pointed to a camera in the room. Everything you said and did has been recorded. All your manipulative tactics and dirty secrets will be posted online. You'll become infamous. You'll never manipulate anyone again. Zhao's face turned pale, but she didn't give up. She continued to beg Yan. Yan, you can't be so heartless. I really love you. Yan couldn't take it anymore, and even Kai lost his patience. He grabbed Zhao's arm. Zhao, explain this to me. Why did you lie? Zhao harshly pushed Kai away. Get lost. Don't touch me. Why should I explain anything to you? Who do you think you are? Kai, looking pained, said, Zhao, you can't treat me like this. I've done so much for you. That's your problem, not mine. Besides, I didn't force you. Zhao's cruel words were like flipping a switch in Kai. Yan, seeing the argument escalate, wanted to leave. I'm done here. Kai, unable to lash out at Zhao, redirected his anger at Yan. You bastard. How dare you steal my woman? He rolled up his sleeves, ready to fight. You can beat me, but don't touch Yan. Zhao, still naked, stood defiantly in front of Yan, trying to look heroic. What a joke. I calmly said, Kai, you're brave, huh? Daring to lay a hand on Mr. Blue? Do you want to lose your business? That snapped Kai back to reality. He realized Yan was his business partner, someone he couldn't afford to offend. Kai's face contorted with fury, but he held back. Yan added insult to injury. Our partnership? It's over. The contract is void. Kai was shocked. Void? Why? We signed a formal agreement. If you breach it, you owe me triple damages. Yan chuckled. Damages? Check clause 9. If either party engages in unethical business practices, the contract is automatically void. What unethical practices? I did nothing wrong. Kai protested. Is using a honey trap not unethical? I smirked. Your assistant Zhao's flirting with Mr. Blue counts as unethical. You'd lose any lawsuit. Kai was on the verge of a breakdown. I didn't ask Zhao to seduce him. Why would I sabotage myself? Maybe have a thing for being cheated on. Who knows? I shrugged. Ah. Kai finally snapped. He had been holding back from hitting Zhao, but now, with millions on the line, he couldn't restrain himself. He brutally assaulted her. Slut. You ruined everything. I'll kill you. Hearing Zhao's screams and seeing Kai's animalistic rage, I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. Cheaters don't deserve love. Their so-called true love was a sham. Selfish people only love themselves. Chapter 13. Zhao ended up in the hospital, nearly disfigured. Kai spent 15 days in a detention center. When he got out, his company was in shambles. All the employees had left. They knew Kai was finished. He sat there, devastated, when he received a final notice from Lin Financial demanding repayment. If he didn't pay, Lin Financial would take everything, leaving him with nothing. Let me see, Mr. Lin. Give me another chance. Kai pleaded at Lin Financial's entrance like a desperate dog. But the security guards wouldn't let him in. At that moment, a black Maybach with the license plate HA99999 drove up, indicating the arrival of Mr. Lin. Kai, risking his life, threw himself in front of the car, kowtowing desperately. Mr. Lin, you invested in me because you saw my potential, right? I'm just in a slump. Give me a chance to bounce back. The car window rolled down to reveal my face. I looked at Kai coldly. Kai, didn't I tell you? The tears you shed now are because of your foolish choices. Kai had been shocked when he saw me and Yan together. But he hadn't had a chance to ask about our relationship before being jailed. Now, seeing me in Mr. Lin's car, he was even more stunned. Qingyu, you're Mr. Lin's daughter. So you set me up. You're going to ruin me. Kai's realization hit him like a ton of bricks. Exactly. I'm Lin's daughter. And yes, you're done for. Bankruptcy is your only option. Hearing my words, Kai was struck with despair. Then, as all scoundrels do, he crawled to my car window, tears streaming down his face. Qing, you still love me, right? It was all my fault. It's all because of that wretched woman Zhao who seduced me. But I've realized now I still love you. His pitiful performance had barely begun when the passenger door of the Maybach opened. Yan strode over and kicked Kai away. Get lost. You're not worthy of standing near my woman.